going to introduce our first guest for today, Kim Caron. Kim is a respected veteran of the Canadian security industry. She began her career as a monitoring station operator in 1988. Since then, she has held several senior level positions within the alarm monitoring industry, including sales director for Armstrongs. Kim is also a long-standing voice and advocate for alarm monitoring. She collaborates with authorities having jurisdiction on alarm bylaws and works with both Canadian and U.S. alarm and security associations. As a volunteer, she has served as the director at the regional and national levels, as chair of CANASA's National Monitoring Committee, and she was also CANASA's national president for a 3-year term. She received the CANASA R.A. Henderson Award, which is its highest honor in 2018. She was also inducted into the SP&T News Hall of Fame in 2016 for her contributions to the industry. So please welcome Kim.
Hi, Neil. That was lovely. Thanks for having me today.
No, thank you for joining us, Kim. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Thanks.
So we'll start with some high level stuff. You have a long career in the security industry, is what we covered in your bio, and also a long career volunteering with CANASA and also joining CANASA full time not that long ago. Can you sort of talk us through this transition from a sort of work perspective and also a volunteering perspective to where you are today?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. From the works perspective, you certainly got to know a lot of our existing members. I had the luxury of touring across Canada and meeting a lot of our membership already. So I had a really good understanding of our industry in that manner. When I became the executive director, it was a whole different view that I was able to take now to look into our industry. And what I found first thing I found was we can do more. We are absolutely the voice of security, and we need to be that for Canada and to our membership. So a lot of our members, we always talked and said, what does CANASA associations do? We're a great golf tournament networking and trade show association, which I think is amazing. A lot of people come and attend, and that's very vital for their career and for their organization. But I think what we need to do more is communicate down all the other things we do for our members and ask more of what they'd like to do. And one of the main things that we're seeing now is career awareness, and that you'll hear me talk about that a lot today, and let people know about our industry. There are choices, everybody in high school when they graduate, I've got all these different options, and security is not necessarily one of them that's on their plate. And so we need to do a much better job letting the new workforce coming in that we are here, and there's a lot of great companies and passion at what would we do that would be a good fit for them in the association, in their career path. So that's one thing that we're definitely looking at for sure. And the other thing we don't do well, I don't think we're a best kept secret to our members, but we kind of are. And so because we're a company-based membership, we don't necessarily disseminate information down to staffing of companies. And we need to do a better job of that to explain what we're here for, what their needs could be, how can we grow and help them with their career and their path and their company, and what does CANASA's role play in that. So we do get a lot of major players coming in and discussing that, but I think we need to go that down a little deeper, discuss what those needs will be. And so that's kind of the goal for our for the staff, to start digging a little bit more and making sure we communicate better.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about that with just amongst the group of us before we went live about how people just don't know about this industry. It's not on their radar, whether they're coming out of high school or they're looking at college or university and planning their careers. They just don't know.
Right.
And it's been an ongoing situation for many years, and we've covered it certainly at SP&T, and it's been a prime concern for CANASA as well, obviously. So it's great to see some steps in that direction.
Yeah, and it has, and a lot of times, CANASA's done some amazing work on the education side, and so that part will be part two of that. Great, Kim, you're making career awareness, and maybe there are people that want to start working on our industry, but how do we train them? And so it's a chicken and the egg. Which one do we promote first? And so we're going with the career to kind of push that, and then get the education side secondary.
So since you started, what has it been like? About five months, give or take, 5 or 6 months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You've spent
February 13th.
you I you know everybody in the industry, everybody knows you, and you spent a long time sort of like sort of putting your finger on the pulse of the industry and getting a sense of what's going on. But in your role now as executive director of CANASA, you're sort of wearing a different hat. Um, just speaking to the members and the companies that are involved, what are their concerns today? What are they, what are they most worried about, but also what are they most optimistic about? Like, what is the outlook for them, do you think?
So, security is definitely growing. It's certainly and it's expanding, and there's the workload is there. I think the problem is getting the people to find the people. You hear often within the industry, I can't attend because I have to work. I've got nobody to follow through. But as security is certainly expanding, there's a lot more opportunity now, and it's going in a different channel for sure. It's probably the fastest growing in technology that I've seen in the past 5 years, if not, more. So there's a huge shift, and with that brings a whole different workforce with who we need to kind of grow in that way. Security. I'll just tell my little story that my son one day got a house, and I got him a full automated system and with a security system, and he said, "Oh, great! I finally have an alarm system." And I looked at it kind of funny, going, yeah, it's the video, it's the hard access, it's the doors, it's the locks, it's all those added features that people want to see. And same with the commercial side. So I think that's exciting for our industry, and I think that growth will continue to happen. But workforce is definitely one of the major challenges.
Yeah, we've definitely seen the industry come a long way in a relatively short period of time in terms of the technology catching up, and just in terms of how you can integrate these especially home automation systems and how much how convenient they are. In our last issue, we did a couple of stories just about the role of recurring monthly revenue for the dealers and how they can capitalize on that, and just the options that they can present to the customer base today. And again, it's also an issue of awareness, right? Some people just don't know what this industry can do in that regard.
You're right. And that is our foundation is recurring revenue. That's how we all started. And that brought in a lot of new entrants into our industry to say, hey, we like this recurring revenue side. How do we get a piece of this and get involved? And so you've seen a lot of larger companies coming in. And I know my background is alarm monitoring, so it would be not good for me not to mention things. But the technology side to run a monitoring station now has changed so much. And so you're seeing more of a consolidation on that side, good or bad. I won't comment, but you're seeing the technology to run all those other sides is getting more expensive.
Mhm.
And so that side is drastically changing, and you're going to see it grow. Video monitoring is going to be a big aspect of all this. And, we're talking with law enforcement today. That's the number one thing they talk about is if there's a break-in, they'll knock on doors saying, hey, do you have video? Do you have video? Can we see video? So that's going to continue to grow. And so that's exciting as well.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a lot of that with excuse me, with the doorbell cams and people having cameras attached to their houses, and those are getting smarter all the time, and people participating in neighborhood watch, associations or volunteering to share video with police as they conduct investigations and so on and so forth. And just the impact that AI is starting to have,
Yeah.
for the consumer and also in the back end in the stations about how it's sort of making it more efficient for a lot of people, and how it's changing the role of what it means to be a monitoring company today.
Yeah, and yeah, good point. AI's touched so many parts of all industries, and it's certainly here for us to stay, and it's going to be quick.
Mhm.
It's going to be real quick. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
and bad.
Yeah, it's the unknown, right? You don't really know
Yeah.
what's going to happen next, but hopefully for the good. Yeah, it's weird covering this industry, and people talk about AI 10 and 15 years ago, and it wasn't sort of, you might say, mature or fully formed, but we're getting there fast. It certainly
We
seems that way.
are. Yeah, and that will start stepping into privacy. I mean, we all love it for the right reasons, and then we don't like it when it's not working for the reasons we want to.
Yeah.
And so, it's a tough one for me personally, as if I was just being a consumer going in, I don't want everybody to know where I am. But on the security side, I'm saying, look what a great tool this is, and it
Hmm.
gives you the information. So if you look back at our industry many years ago, we knew something happened, but we never knew what it was. And now we've got the details.
Yep.
So that brings other people education on that side to say, I'm not really trained to see what I'm supposed to see when something happens. That's another really scary part.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
going to be a lot. Yeah.
So along that same vein, maybe can you talk a bit about what CANASA is doing, has been doing in the last year or so, and what you have coming up for the next year or so in terms of meeting some of these needs, sort of growing the membership, providing those training opportunities, opening up some of those doors to, so that the companies that are looking to hire can find more employees. There's just so much that is potentially in front of this industry right now.
Yeah, it is. That's a great question. So when I came in as in this position, a lot of that legwork was already done. So I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm going to continue to pursue it. So one of the things that was done this year was our scholarship program. So taking low-hanging fruit and expanding on that scholarship program. When it first started out, I think 2 years ago, we had, I'm not going to sure, I think it's like 15 applicants. This year we had over 400. And the reason was is because we brought in other individuals. We brought different areas in for it. So if you're affiliated with law enforcement and your parents involved in law enforcement, or any type of emergency responders, you're allowed to apply as an offspring or child of that. And that brought a lot more career awareness and tied that relationship a little stronger with what we do in the security industry. We're not bad people. We're great, and we'll work together stronger. And that relationship is getting more solidified. With through that program helped a lot. So that was great, and hopefully next year we'll have a lot more. We also created a new committee called Next Gen. Next Gen could take a couple different ways. Next Gen could be within your organization who's going to come up through the ranks and promote and do. The next generation really is what's the next gen worker, and who does that look like, and how do we make that career awareness? And so we've had quite a bit of different volunteers go to different polytechs and to high schools, and done some career awareness trades, trade shows, and I've attended, and we're trying to get that communication out that way. And just to say again, we're here, we're a viable, wonderful industry. Think of us, and just trying to get, and we may not hit the road running the first year. It may 2 or 3 years to get that messaging across, but I think that's very important. So we're trying different channels that way. That's very good strength, what they started.
Yeah, you've certainly seen younger people coming up through the industry and making an impact, and it's great to see an official channel through CANASA available to young people. We've seen it a lot in our own top 10 under 40 lists for SB&T News. There's a lot of people sort of in their 20s, 30s, early 40s, sort of who are leading the industry, who are changing it and have fresh ideas. And yeah, as the industry ages and more people, boomers approaching retirement, you got to think about what's coming next and get that next generation of leaders to the forefront.
Yeah, exactly. We all say we're all getting a little older, and we all kind of grew up with like a big family in the security industry. If there's something I need or I need information, I know who to pick up the phone and call. It's been amazing for that, and it's been certainly a strong benefit of my career. And we want that for the next generation to say that networking is important. Yes, you can get everything on your phone and do all what you need to do, but that networking is key.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we've seen that through, career expos and people getting involved on LinkedIn and making those connections. And
Yeah.
yeah, do you want to talk about maybe some of the educational opportunities or some of the career fair opportunities that CANASA is making available?
Yeah, so we're talking about women in security. So one of the things that we certainly need is more is on the installation service side. And the part that's missing is the women coming into the technology industry. And so there is a school in BC that is working just strictly for women and technology to start learning in construction or whatever part they want to go into. And we've had volunteers go there and speak about our industry and talk to them, as well as high schools, to say we're here, it's viable. It doesn't need to be an alarm operator or salesperson. It can be a technician as well. And so we're trying to represent all growth. And and when speaking with our council, our local council, they're excited about it. They're like, yeah, we could do something like that. We can do those things. And even in Toronto, we're going to have our career fair, which we've had last year, which is a really successful. We're going to do it again. So every year, if people know or don't know, we've brought in students to our trade show in Toronto to give them a taste of what we do, but we didn't really put that all together. So now it's a true job fair to say these are the aspects. We can talk to people in the industry. They can different schools of education, bring them around the our show and show them what products, touchy-feely, let them know and see what it looks like and start bringing more awareness that way as well. And that was very successful last year, and we're just going to bring it up a level this year as well.
Are you also sort of expanding the role of CANASA a little bit to try and get some of the adjacent industries involved, whether it's cyber or guarding or sort of I mean, it was originally known as an alarm association, but your mandate is much broader than that. How are you reaching out to some of those other industries that are sort of in the security orbit and getting them more involved in CANASA as well?
So there's a couple of reasons we may or may want to do that. So is it self-serving to say, does it go back to jobs and careers, or self-serving to say we want more members?
Mhm.
So we need to really decide what we want more of, growth and membership. Of course, probably you do. We're a member-based company organization. But those are just meetings and discussions. And so I've talked to other executive directors from other associations across Canada, and they are struggling as well with identity and knowing where they belong and what they need to do. And so it's just more of a right now fact-finding mission, listening, learning more about what they wouldn't feel a good fit is. We do a lot with ASIS. A lot of our councils do a lot with ASIS, and they've been a great partner for all different things that we do back with together. So I'm hoping to expand on that and talk more in depth. But right now, I don't have an answer for you. I just have, seeking information.
Yeah. Yeah, and creating those bonds with, I mean, CANASA has a long-standing relationship with ASAS, with some of the Canadian chapters, and at SB&T as well. We've also had a long-standing relationship with As Is and what they do for the association. There's some speakers coming up this afternoon that will probably chat a bit more about some of the mentorship programs that they have going on there.
Perfect.
Um, just sort of across the depth of your career. I mean, you've been involved in the like what was the year I said 1988?
Yeah.
So a few years. Um, you've seen the industry come a long way and change a lot over the decades, maybe perhaps more so in the last 10 or 15 years. But what are your thoughts on what the opportunities are for women in security and how can the industry do more to present those opportunities to women and to showcase how much women have changed the industry?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I have to say we're super proud of the success that women have had in this career. I know a lot of women that have been great mentors to me and to many others. So there's an aspect of certain level that we've done a great job, and the industry has done a great job. It's not specifically women; it's us collaborative. And I have a lot of wonderful male counterparts in the industry that certainly have helped me along the way. Going forward, I think the aspect again, we're looking for the installer side. I think that's a niche market that our career that women can go into for sure. I think that there's a sales side that's available. One of the we talk about career awareness. I want everybody to know that we're not just security, we are distribution, we are vendors, we do alarm monitoring. There's a whole gamut that fits. I want to make sure each of our members are represented in anything we speak of going forward.
Do you think the situation has improved overall for women or
Oh, yes.
inclusiveness in general in this industry, right?
Yes, 100%. I feel that way.
Yeah.
100%. Yes. Yeah, and I can even see that when we talked in our committees and our national boards and our council. There's a lot of women. Listen, I remember going to the first golf tournament I ever went to, and no one really paid attention, but I was the only woman there. And I kept winning all the prizes, and trust me, I cannot golf. And everybody kept saying, "Oh, look at her, she must be really good." And I finally stopped and said to everybody, "There's not another woman in this room." And they all started laughing. They didn't realize that. That is certainly not the case anymore. So that was one of my, just little funny stories that people didn't realize how much things have changed.
Yeah, it's amazing how many women I've spoken to over the years who've had a similar experience. Some of them might be in the audience today, just sort of 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, they were literally the only woman in the boardroom or in the office. And it was an old boys club and things have changed a lot. I mean, there's still probably definitely some room for improvement, but just the people I interview or the people I meet at trade shows and the makeup of the industry is changing, through necessity, because the only way you can grow is by encouraging more people to participate in it.
Yeah, and let if we go back to, it's an old boys club. Yeah, fair enough. That's the kind of an old term. But
Yeah,
when I grew up, I would never want to get my hands dirty, or I didn't really want to get into installation, or I didn't know anything about security and didn't want even available to think about that path. So I think, as our society has changed, we're now able to expand that and grow much more.
yeah,
So, we can call it an old boys club and don't mean to do that in any bad way, but that's just the way life was.
yeah,
And we've now expanded, society's allowed that. So I think it's just we've done a great job all around.
yeah. Oh, for sure. And things will continue to change. Yeah, it's been fun to be part of this journey myself, the last 15, 20 years, just to see how much things have changed. There's a couple of comments in the chat. So in our last 5 minutes or so, maybe I'll just ping some of these off you. Um, have you considered reaching out or partnering with anybody at Skills Canada or with any sort of trade associations that represent more women? Anything like that?
Yes, so again, that's just started the grassroots. There has been legwork done on that already. I'm sorry I can't speak to it in detail as of yet because I haven't been brought up to speed, but yes, and that will continue to happen and bring that to the forefront. And then we got to figure out reason. We just talked to a trade show company a couple months ago, and that's all they do is put on career awareness or career job fairs. And they were talking about in Edmonton alone, they had 3,500 people walk through their door. So there is a definite need for that, and that's the area we want to get involved. But the education side, I'll say our existing president Bob Smith, been involved in that. So sorry I can't speak to it in much detail today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a couple of comments about how much the industry has changed and how things are improving over time. There's a bit more of a technical question here, but I don't know if you want to talk about this at all. But what do you think about the influence of body cameras coming into the industry? They started probably more as a technology for police officers, but they are making their way into security, probably principally for security guards. But you're seeing it more and more, even in sort of like retail jobs and stuff like that. Like it's just one aspect of the industry that is starting to take off.
Yeah, I have two opinions on that. One is unfortunately society has made us look at that for a to save and make sure we've done everything correct and to have everything on video because that's the whole world now.
Hmm.
Everything on video. I can go from experience from my brother-in-law who works in retail and was told they're supposed to have body cams and the staff are frightful because they think now that'll be confrontational, more confrontational than it is now. So I think there's two parts to that. Technology always is a wonderful, great thing, but you have to implement that with the day-to-day of people's and humans' lives and whether they will get past that to do that. So I'm kind of torn on both sides.
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring in I don't know if we would have expected people to be actually wearing cameras, but that's where we're at now.
We
And
are.
just bring in privacy implications and all kinds of stuff. So there's good and, potentially some bad as well. But yeah, we'll see how that changes the industry as well over time. Um, Question here. Do you happen to know the name of the school or training program in BC, which is focusing on uh, growth of women in the installation and service technology field?
I was told it and I forgot it. Sorry. It's initials. I can get it to you. There it is. ET. Who's that? And yeah, Aaron gave it to me. I don't have my glasses on, Neil. EJTC?
Oh, that rings a bell. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. A couple of years ago at a women in security event, I think it was that school. We had like an all-female graduating class of technicians. It was 4 or 5, and it was they were just talking about sort of how much they were enjoying the industry and how I probably they didn't even know about it until it was presented to them as well. It's
Yeah, no,
um,
key components was Anita Brene
yep,
and sorry, Joanne.
yep,
There were
that's
two that
right.
attended that, and they're certainly great mentors, and they're perfect people to do that. And I'm sure hopefully in that they'll continue to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully we'll look forward to more of that as well. So I think that's it for the questions. Let me just double check the chat again. Ooh, this is another question that's almost related to the body cams, but what are your thoughts on drones for patrolling? We're getting way off base now, but why not?
Yeah, it's
Option
all
is there.
security,
So,
right?
yeah,
So I think drones are amazing. I
yeah.
think that they do an amazing job that we can't get to do what they do. So I'm an advocate of it. I at ISC, I understand that there was a drone to catch drones. So it there was a drone that had a big net, and then so if something was coming in that territory, it wasn't there. And I don't know if the aviation world is caught up to speed on technology because there's rules and regulations about what can fly and what can't. So we were talking earlier about the Manitoba fires, and I'm from
Hmm.
Manitoba, everybody. And so one of the comments from one of the municipalities was stop flying your drones because we got bombers, water bombers trying to get it. So again, I think that it has a great place for sure.
Yeah, it's just one of those technologies that to some extent the legislation, the regulation has to sort of catch up with the technology. And I have seen what you were talking about, the drones that catch drones, the anti-drone technology. It's like an arms race out there sometimes, it really is.
Yeah, yeah. If they're selling it, there's a need for sure.
Oh yeah. There's one more question. I think it's probably what we've got time for. But so you've talked about this little bit, maybe with next gen. But the question is, does CANASA have a mentorship program?
Yeah, great. That's on the list, 100%. We've kind of done that throughout people that know everybody within our industry and kind of knock on each other's doors and phone, but there is not a set program, and I think that's absolutely required.
Yeah, great. Well, we'll look forward to that for sure. I think that's it. I think yeah. So I think we'll wrap it up. But again, always a pleasure to chat with you, Kim, and look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you probably at a future CANASA show.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for taking the time to
Thank
share your
you.
thoughts with us. We wish you best of luck at CANASA going forward. And
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, good luck, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, Kim.